Hello there, guys, and welcome to my crackbook. And later on, this will be uploaded and be available on my YouTube, and of course, will still be available on social media. I am just going to let you guys come in and let people just come on, and I've just got a few things here that I feel is very, very, very important that we go through in the current climate here in the UK, and a couple of things have happened today that have given me a deeper insight, and the matter with a young lad today has really tipped me over the edge with what is going on, and I feel that I wouldn't usually do these sorts of lives before 10 o'clock. As people may know, I have shifted my lives from my public account to my private account. So I do my lives here in my little safe boat. If you are not here for the hashtags that I have put up in this live, which I've put Brexit, Agenda 21, employment racket, child trafficking. I can't see what else I've written there. Sexual exploitation, child abuse, paedophilia infiltration. And obviously then there is parent alienation, denied contact, enforced adoption, and special guardianship, and talking about social services as a whole, and the system that is there to enable and empower and support people who turn to somebody for advice, help, and guidance. Unfortunately, our country has been under Agenda 21. I'm not sure, I need to get the information. I wasn't going to talk about Agenda 21, but I felt that it was important in line with what's going on with Brexit. For those of you who have been with me since 2010, when my family were known as Benefit Britain, this is me with my 4 children in 2010. This is a front page newspaper article in the Chorley, and then in the Leyland Guardian, and then it went off to the Lancashire Evening Post, where I had launched a programme called Challenge Britain, and I was getting a training manual into social care, the benefit system, and everybody that was under multi-agency, in order to be able to support and enable people with physical conditions, with mental health, and with learning difficulties, because all of these families were coming under child protection rather than family support systems. I have loads of evidence here in this bag that proves that Aaron and Faith, so this is in fact I can tell you when it is, because I have, this was the 20th of October 2010. I shall read it to you. The original article, not what the Daily Mail did to me, but the original article, which is here. So this here said that this single mum needs a 60k salary to be better off on benefits. And I'll tell you, there was a reason, and it wasn't about benefits. And I know a lot of people hated me for this. I am very aware of the blogs and the messages. A single mum with 4 children who claims $37,000 a year in benefits says the system has to change. Now, please remember, it has not said I was on disability. I was not on bog standard basic benefits. That also includes my indicative budget. The papers didn't explain this. Kelly Cotton lives in Buckshaw Village and says if she works, she needs to earn around $60,000 a year to not be worse off than currently on benefits. Please let me tell you why it said 60,000. One, because to add tax and national insurance, then it would put up, because obviously people on benefits don't pay tax and national insurance, that's paid for you. So not only do people, what people didn't realise is when you sign on to income support, this is really, really important, because this is how they gain your kids. When you sign on to income support, That is a tick box, or was income support but now universal credits. That was a tick box benefit that basically opens you to housing benefits, council tax, any education loans and grants, things like that, any housing loans and grants, things like that, travel expenses for hospitals, things like that. And also it pays for your national insurance and your tax contribution. Now you won't see that because it doesn't go into your money. Kellyanne picks up $3,077 a month on various benefits on the eve of Chancellor George Osborne's spending review. She describes the benefit system as a trap. Now, please remember that also includes my indicative budget, which was for the carers supporting me, and also the fact that my childcare was also covered in this. Take that income support away. These were all the things that I would have to cover as a working single mother. What annoyed me was every time the system changed, it only affects new claimants. This change was going to affect old and new, as well as the fact that they were going to be capping from 4 children to 2 children, and it was going to affect new people, because what they are legally doing, this is where it's really, really important, guys, this changeover ultimately affects only new claimants. Therefore, they've got to get you off the old benefit. Okay? Officially, most people can sit and stay on that old benefit, but they actually want to remove that system. So what they do is what I call pushing the eagle out of the nest to see who can fly and who can't. And those who can't will then come back onto the benefit. But what that's done is it's created a cradle of about 3 to 6 to 9 weeks, and sometimes people even longer, depending how much records and notes and stuff people need. Now, with this system, for people who have medical diagnoses and conditions, universal credits and PIP have been really good. What they've done is you don't have to fill it out, they just contact your doctor immediately. Now, this isn't the stuff that I really, really wanted to get into today, but I just want to read one sentence from this rather than going into it in full. It's not one sentence, but a couple. So I'm just going down to the bottom. Oh, first of all, it even says into the papers, Kelly has Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which stops her body from producing collagen and results in daily dislocations of her joints. Right. So here goes. She says, some people will see me as public enemy number 1. I didn't say this, the editor said this. I've got 4 children from 3 different dads. I was expelled from school and I couldn't survive without benefits. That doesn't make me any less than a mum. I was happily married as a full-time housewife, but that relationship ended and the system became my breadwinner. I've always said to friends of mine who are married, you're only one divorce away from hitting the benefit system, girl, if you don't know what you're going to do to support your children. And we don't live in a world now where fathers support, not all, I'm not saying all fathers are like this, but mothers are not training their boys, yes, that they are good providers, because we're in this whole gender neutralisation. This is what's going to bring me to child exploitation and Agenda 21. Now, I said benefits should be a bridge for change, and I will challenge Britain to take off the mask. This is what it was about. So don't forget, Anonymous, there's a bigger picture to this, guys, because the reason that I said 60,000 is I was going to run as an MP in Leyland, which meant I would have been paid a salary of 60,000. If they don't like what they see, change it. I aim to get people in negative mindsets to renew their thinking and be the person that they would love to be. Because of Kelly's disability, she can only work self-employed, is currently receiving training from Leyland-based business venture group. I was also being mentored by James Greenwell. I've got the paperwork here that proves it. She plans to launch, this is what I was doing, a self-help training manual to give people choices. Now, this manual was then going to be put in all multi-agencies. So basically, it meant that, right, say if you go to the job centre, the first thing they say to you is look at the jobs, things, apply for jobs. There was a gap. This is how work coaches came in. I'm a coach. Work coaches comes from this, but they haven't been trained in non-directive coaching. They also don't have the training manual that sits with these coaches that basically means that you can sit down, let me show you something. I designed this, if I can find it. On Wednesday, by the way, I will go through all of this with you if you want to, because I've got a lot of evidence here. And also, let me find the original ever diagram that I did. It might be this one. I find it very difficult to get my paperwork sorted here with the two boys in a one-bedroom flat. So I've managed to get a room over at the Children's Centre to go through all of my paperwork. But I want to show you the original design. I actually have it. I do have it. Which one's it in? Come on, I found you earlier. I've got shitloads of stuff in here, like absolutely crazy. It might be in this one. Absolutely crazy, like evidence. I've stored everything. Oh, look, by the way, my real name. There you go. It's my first ever birth certificate. And there's my second. It now says Kelly Avis. So that was Kelly Hill. That was Kelly Avis. I have my children's birth certificates here as well. And obviously just to prove that I am actually Kelly Cotton. That's on my son's birth certificate. That. Kelly Cotton. So basically, what they didn't expect is this coach with a curiosity found it. Was coaching people and finding more and more people labelled with depression, borderline personality, all of these things, and then learning that they had been abused in foster care or had children taken. Kelly started asking why. So basically, here is the original layout. So this was community belonging. This was all of the web domains that we're going to link in. Bigger than Crackbook, by the way. Community. I'm going to give it all because I've got the evidence here. So anyone run with anything, go for it. Community belonging, employ, hobby, money, offers, services, snacks, social, spend, support, tools, us, vacate, visit, Converse, my community, life tools. So that was all the things from my community, community and spirit. Looking at people individually, body, mind, spirit. And this was Challenge Britain's notes. So basically, this was why I went out in the media. So this was Kelly Can. So I was with Can Productions. So this is Kelly Can. So this was before Aaron and Faith were taken. And this is basically about, like I keep saying, disability too. But this was built for EDS, arthritis, lupus, Roy syndrome, fibromyalgia, cancer, absolutely everything. It was there. Like everybody would have come off medication very quickly. So I pissed the pharmaceutical companies off like that. So this was me looking at what was known as big society and social reforms. So I was building the bridge in between them collapsing you, right? Community in, national person, my community, support and services, supports. So here we go. That was how I designed. This is what I call mind mapping, by the way. Challenge Britain, right? So this was my thing. So this was how it would be designed for everybody, would work for everybody. So this was how your thing. So when you come to work with benefit system or social services, you would have received this. Now you don't, you just get kids taken. I was trying to prevent that. So here we go. Here's the original will. So this was the original will that I designed, and it's based on a program that I wrote called You Got a Flat Tire, Mate, right? And it was looking at, I'm feeling quite apt now because I've actually found some stuff today that shows that I'm not grandeur, I'm not faking it until I make it, I haven't got imposter syndrome, I'm not a narcissist, I'm not grandeur, I'm not delusional. It's just that people come from a point of view and a perception. And today I've had a meeting with children's social care, not children's social care. I have been to children's social care today, but not as a client, as somebody who's kicking their fucking asses and is going to continue to kick their fucking asses. And do you know what they didn't like today? In my meeting with housing and my health visitor, my exact words were, "I'm not here to serve you. I'm not here to serve you." As in, I'm not here to teach you. I'm not here to provide you with anything. They are there to support and provide the needs and the services that they're to give. They're not there to dictate or tell me anything. They're not allowed to take me up any path. They're not allowed to force me down any avenue. They're not allowed to tell me how my condition works. They're there to listen to me. As arrogant as that sounds, or as entitled as that sounds, that service is there for a reason. People are abusing that system, and I don't agree with that at all, because there are genuine, real people with physical conditions and real mental health conditions. And this system was designed for people who really can't wipe their own asses and really can't make a meal and really can't get out and about and are 100% dependent on somebody else. We've understood things a lot differently lately. But I watch people in this block move scooters around between each other for their PIP meetings and stuff like that. People playing the system, people making it worse. Now, then people do need to be pushed off the fucking cliff. But do you know what's going to happen to them? They don't have the tools. They don't have the education. They don't have the understanding. They'll end up on the streets. That's it. Bang, smack, bang. And they won't have the survival skills for the streets either. To live on the streets takes so much character. Like, very, very, very few people could ever really survive out on the streets. I mean, the way Dean and I do it when we're out there is very different. You know, we'll use a sports centre. We can think differently. People have a go at people for using alcohol and drugs while out on the streets. Have you ever tried sleeping on a really cold place, trying to find somewhere to sleep? Eventually you get used to it and you settle into a place. I couldn't get to that place, but, you know, a lot of people do. They get into picking up their sandwiches, their foods, and it becomes a bit of a routine. But anyway, Miss Nosy Kelly Cotton started going a little bit further, didn't she? Are you ready for this? I foresaw what was coming. This is what they're going to do to us with Brexit. I don't know if you can see that. Compact Foundations for Global Compact. It's the other way around, actually. Foundation for Global Compact. As people know, Australia was the first people to assign to Gender 21. I would have to sit there and mind map it to remind my head right now in what order they all signed and how this went. Agenda 21 was a divide and control format and also a depopulation, because they knew that we were overpopulating, and also the normalization of what is labelled as paedophilia, which basically just means love of a child. To have sexual penetration with a minor. The minor, the 18, is a man-made thing. It's only by studies of psychology and of layers and layers that we have this gestation of children and these names and these laws and things like that, because it's a good thing to do that. But with this, let me just read something. It came all the way, I think it was a place called UNIDO. I'd need to go back into my mind. This was all written between me and Sue right back in 2007, I think. So this was from the 21st century global governance, right? So the good thing about an ASPE is we can run mazes very quickly. And if you give us a pattern, we can run analogies very quickly. And we could foresee where this was coming because we weren't just looking at, like, take, for example, campaigners just before me had only been dealing with the UK, okay? I was the one that sort of pushed and pulled it out into us going, you know, geography and pulling in all of the doodads, because not a lot of people, one, can't take that mass amount of people, but two, can't come in on a sort of a level because the laws are so different, and you can get really, even England to Scotland, the laws are different. We have courts, they have sheriffs, you know, so it, again, it was about divide and control. Again, when it comes down to parents who've had children taken, alienating you from your partners if there's one, alienating you from your family. It's only if your family understand what parties to proceedings is, go and get their own solicitors. Everybody, unless you have the knowledge or understanding, there's nothing you can do about it. Most people, take for example, say you lose your keys. Most people will say, I can't find my keys, I can't find my keys, I can't find my keys. What you should be saying is, where are my keys, where are my keys? The universe will correspond with your song. So if you're saying, I can't find my keys, your natural alignment will not allow you to lie to yourself. So even if your keys were right in front of you, your brain will not allow you to see those. It's very clever. It's called response something. I'd have to double check. So when you say, where are my keys? It opens you up to boom. So I've just seen a couple of names that are flagged up that are watching that makes me think, oh, fuck. But anyway, this was looking, so when we come into Brexit, one good thing about coming out of Brexit, and I know a lot of people have got issues with it, is you're coming out of this. What we're basically saying is we need to put our own home in order. And there's a protest tomorrow that I'm going to. In fact, if I've got it in here, I need to go to a protest tomorrow at 6:30. And it's about Brexit. I think I've got it here. No, that's my early years questionnaire thing to hand in. Seriously, I've got so much shit in my little pouch. I love these little bum bags. I haven't had a bum bag for years. I've stolen one of the little girls' bum bags. Oh, seriously, no. But yeah, there's protest tomorrow anyway. I guess whose number I've got here though. The chief executive of Portsmouth getting his fucking ass kicked this week, probably on Thursday. And then, who else have we done today? That's to do a fundraiser for keeping families together. But anyway, I want to get back to what pissed me off today. So before I carry on this, let me talk about this boy I saw today. Funny enough, he's not from my lives. It's not my stuff that he's watched on this live. It's actually through school. School are asking the youth to research Brexit. This boy has such high anxiety. His father's also in the army, so he knows another sector of this. He has high anxiety because he says we're going to war. He says we are in a war. The amount of research that this 12-year-old boy has done on Brexit, because he's autistic, so he was asked to do and write a paper on Brexit. That means he's going to research absolutely everything on Brexit. And his anxiety is that he's going to die and there's going to be a war. And that's it. And this is really difficult because he's also not wrong, but he's not right either. And one thing that's very scary is I've put a warning over 18 on here, not because there's pornography. I can see there's probably people looking for boobs and ass, but it ain't here, honey, and you ain't gonna fucking find it. You know, so the reason that I have put it, because this is going to lead to something down the rabbit hole much deeper, that we could save years and years and years of all these inquiries, investigation people. Because as you know, I've just done mass amount of lives over on my public page because I'm trying to get as many people into the inquiry as possible. As far as I'm aware, it's closed now. I've been tried to go on. I can't find the little clicky thing that gets you in. So unless Amber can confirm or deny whether or not the inquiry is closed, If it isn't, still keep proceedings. If it is, then sorry, it's closed and that's it. But as with the child abuse inquiry, this could now go on for another 18 months, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, because deep down the rabbit hole of social care, as in children's social care, they're going to find a high level of sexual abuse. And they're not only going to find a high level of sexual abuse, they're going to find a high level of unlawful and unnecessary removals. Under a court of law, in the way that this is coming in, that classes it as kidnap. It will be the first time it's classed as state kidnap, and there isn't a legal definition for state kidnap as yet. But there will be, and even investigators and police are starting to call this state kidnap. For anybody who doesn't understand, let me just for 2 seconds pull up a video. And just in the background, this is for newbies, this is for people coming in, people who know what I'm talking about, please do share, you know what I'm going to be talking about. To people who are coming in, I'm sorry if you're going to find out stuff that is just quite heartbreaking. I'm sorry, Paul, so people know what I'm going to do. And to mums who are currently pregnant, who are listening to this, who are facing social services.
A 6-hour-old baby is being taken away by social workers from his mother. It is a forced adoption. This is footage the social workers never wanted you to see. Britain is the only country in Europe which commonly allows adoption without parental consent.
Adoption is for good, and as soon as we can place a child in a loving home permanently, better for all concerned.
The government's new Children and Families Act is likely to increase the number of cases.
Those who've been social workers for a long time went into social work primarily to support families. The reality now is that they are almost exclusively involved in child protection.
There you go. And you just heard it from a judge. So basically that's from the programme Exposure Don't Take My Child, where unfortunately it was Paul's baby that was being taken. I posted out an article yesterday of a Down syndrome couple who've been married 22 years against the odds. Nobody ever thought it would even entertain a period of time. They live independently. They have the sister next door. They want a family. They want children. In this particular day and age, there is laws that state that they can't. Now, that's wrong. That's one side of the coin. So one side of the coin in this, so take children's social care. The problem is, as I've always said, children and social care don't come together. There isn't a family system. And when the reading of this inquiry comes together, I'm going to be in that room and I'm going to be serving the affidavit on behalf of us all, and they're going to have 10 days to respond from this. Chances are they know I'm going to do this. Chances are they will keep moving like they did the other things because they know I'm going for the big haul. It's not difficult to work out what somebody like me would do in an area like that. The Houses of Commons has a closed glass, but the Houses of Lords is open. So anyway, we are in a time of getting shit in order, basically. It really is a time for the churches, local communities, to start producing fruit and veg and things like that. You know, selling for £3.50 for people's, you know, food vouchers and minimum or stuff like that. You know, we do have to start coming together as Great Britain here. Now, as I said to you in a live a couple of months back, I chose to stay when everybody else has chose to leave. We went through a really big change in time, and we're heading into, so as people will know, our passports are basically stamped by the EU, right? So we're under a European Union and a United Nations. So our world, so the world, so literally Australia, England, all of the countries, all of the so-called round world that we are taught by a globe. Just because there was a round globe, we believe the earth was round. I don't believe it's flat either, but I don't particularly believe that it's this perfect round thing. A lot of people believe it's actually flat. But who knows? I've never been to space. I've never looked down. I have never ever looked into the science of that sort of stuff. So I cannot comment, and I can't say who's right and who's wrong. All I know is I was taught it was round because there was a globe in the corner, and because it was a globe, I believed it was round. And I don't always believe that everything that we're taught like that is necessarily true. So that is under United Nations. So we sit in a parliament called United Nations, and every head of state, every person comes together in that. And then we have the EU, the European. So basically, if you have, what people don't realise when you've had your kids taken as well, is you can go all the way. So we currently could have gone to the EU. So Sabine McNeill, who's currently doing 9 years in prison for breaking a parent's gag on her case and openly talking about the satanic rituals of these children and stuff, has got 9 years in prison. She was the person who went to the United Nations. No, sorry, EU. It was my friend Monique who went to United Nations, and it was Sabine who went to the EU. The moment they called that investigation into the UK, we exited Brexit. Or we started the proceedings and the flags and the distraction, because that's what it is. It's a distraction. So while the right hand is waving, the left hand is doing something else. So officially, Parliament is meant to be back tomorrow. School's back, headmaster's back, Boris Johnson is back. Now, as we know, the Queen has suspended Parliament. So, Foundation for Global Compact. Google it. Just Google Foundation for Global Compact. Civil City, Public Sector, Cities, Academic Association, Labour. ISBN, Global Monetary System, ISO, Independent Standard Organisations, European and the UK. UN, EU, right in the middle, local communities, local authorities, academic companies, Parliament, the Bank of England, Houses of Lords, the monarchy, international trade, international community. And then I went to the next realm. Heavenly realm, powers and principality, autistic, manic depression, creatives, logic analysts, brainy, clinical depression, eccentric, around, socially excluded, self-harm, self-loathing, struggling socially, self-righteous, socially applicable, socially struggling socially, self-worship, and then the self in relationship with God through Jesus' sacrifice, the self rebelling against God, rejecting Jesus, the Holy Spirit, Jesus sitting in the heavenly realms, the spiritual realm, self in natural realm, greed, pride, envy, wrath, lust, gluttony, and sloth. Because that's what we're up against. We're up against the sins. It's about greed. It's about an employment racket. This is about basically creating, take for example, every festival that you go to, every community event will always have a fostering or adoption table. Where's the family support table? Well, family support table is not profitable. To support a family is a loss. So that's like putting your money in a car. If you buy a brand new car in a forecourt, the moment you take it off that forecourt, it's depreciated in value immediately. House goes up in value, a boat goes down in value. Stocks and shares can move in between it. To support a family through any form of adversary, be it that, I don't know, they've just not paid their rent and got evicted. Well, okay, to not pay their rent is their own fault. You pay your rent, you don't get evicted, simple as that. However, challenges occur. Some people might be on a really good salary. I mean, like have a mortgage and be on a fantastic salary, and all of a sudden then have to go to the job centre and find salary at the job centre is not so great. And actually, you can't afford all your coffees. And on that note, by the way, people keep having a go at me saying, if she's so fucking broke, how does she keep going for coffees? Well, I'm going to show you how I keep going for coffees. Here is it. Cafe in the Park, pay it forward vouchers. Thank you very much. That just goes to show how ignorant people are and how much people assume. Maybe somebody else has brought me that coffee. This is a pay it forward voucher that entitles me to coffee in Portsmouth. So anyway, I was really angry when I come home today. I still got all this to go through. This is just an example. Just craziness, examples of stuff that I've never, ever got to present in court on the basis of Aaron and Faith being taken, because when you have legal aid, that's what it's all built off of. When you have, so just doing things like, what was I going to say then? When you have, oh, seriously, I'm going to get back into this myself and start kicking my ass. Oh, what did that just fall out? See, I love things like this. Things just fall out and they, oh, look, bless. Aaron and Faith drawing on me books. That's Aaron. I seriously, sometimes I flick through these and I find little things that Aaron and Faith have done. And it's like, you know, so, you know, it's just simple. Like, you know, what is health? What is wealth? You know, where are you in your relationships in your life? I mean, one of the reasons that, oh, let me just tell you about milk for a second. Cows don't drink milk. Why would you? The medical field and onslaught in media coverage encourages people to drink milk and eat dairy products because it does the body good. However, this could be further from the truth. And that's pretty much like everything that we've been taught through the education system, everything our parents have taught because they didn't know any different, and everything that the media is teaching us is all fucking bullshit. We've been lied to for so fucking long that actually pretty much nothing that we even think to be true isn't true. And that's really hard to believe. Like, did you know you don't have to get up and go to work tomorrow? Like, you don't have to actually get up and go and pay your bills. Like, the Queen has pretty much robbed our entire estate and we've been living under and in prison. Like, they've had us under captive, under prison for a long time. We're walking around believing that we're free, but actually the majority of people are free to leave for 28 days of that year. And even if you want to go abroad, chances are they whack the prices up during school holidays to make sure that you stay here in the UK. I'm talking from a UK point of view here. Just go with me, think about it, yeah? So basically, social will give you a home and you will occupy that home, or you will get a job in a local area and you will buy a home in that local area and you will live in that local area. In October, they are amalgamating all of the councils, by the way. They've already had first notification through adoption agencies, and this is people who are being notified that their child is going to be changing councils because of this amalgamation. This is how I've been finding out, because adoption agencies have been sending parents letters. So when they talk about myths, our whole life has been a myth. Literally, if you think about it this way, lots of people rode in on horses, they got their swords out and they had a fight. People prior to the Queen won that throne. If anybody's ever seen Games of Thrones, or there's a really, really good film, I can't think what it's called. It's about the Eye of Horus. It's bow the knee or be killed. That's how war works. So basically, when a new occupier of that land comes along, it basically says to everybody that occupies that area, you will do as I say, or you will be killed, or this is what will happen to you. It was called treason to do anything that questions the line of, it's not even authority, it was, I am your leader and you will follow. The Queen's done a really good job. I'm going to give hats off to the Queen. The Queen has done a really good job in terms of looking at housing, looking at stuff, blah, 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 blah. But she hasn't done a great job. And also during this time, she's been covering up her own family secret that has been causing catastrophe to the people. Look, they don't give a shit about the little people. Some of them do. Some of them will worry. If all of a sudden, say there was a big tidal wave over Great Britain, they'll divide us between the north and south in the population and how many you can save. They don't know who you are. They don't know what you're about. They don't give a shit about your personal things. They will just literally shut the borders and do what they need to do. Unless you have a personal relationship, somebody might come and find you. Do you know what I mean? You might have somebody who loves you out there who, like, take Dean for an example. If all of a sudden the shit, he's back on Friday, but if all of a sudden the shit hit the fan here in the UK and we get shut down and Dean's actually out in Europe, it's why we're getting it all done now. And hopefully in place, ready before this goes. But if all of a sudden me and the boys are still here and the shit hits the fan, Dean would find a way of getting to the UK and coming and finding us. But if he found us, he's going to leave Liam, and he's going to leave Liam and Daniel. He's probably even going to leave his other children. He would just take me and the boys. I don't think that way. That's another problem. But the reality is we've been conned. Now, the reason that the education system existed in the first place was childcare for the Industrial Revolution. So basically, the ants got up to build, you know, and we've built here in the UK already enough. There is no reason. We don't need the industrial people here anymore. Do you understand that? Like, we've already colonized. So if you imagine the film Ants, the children's film, where all of a sudden the general then calls the flood to get rid of all the workers because they don't need them anymore. They've already done what it is. Well, we've done that. We've already achieved what they want. The builders, the workers, the roadmen, all of that have already achieved that. It's done. There's, other than knocking it all down and building, they want the techs now. They need the tech people now. They need the professors. They need the people who can take technology to a whole new level. They want the supercars. They want to go to, you know, they want to advance. You know, people get so far and then they want to advance. They're bored now. They want to go to a next level. The problem with all of this, if you go back to the way it was with the soldiers prior used to rape, pillage, abuse children, slaughter people. We've been so desensitized to the normacy of this through Xbox games, 18 films, things going on. So if we hear about something like that in the media, yeah, it might make us go like that, but it becomes yesterday's chip paper. When my kids were taken and I started really getting to the core of, seriously, I thought I was going to go on Crackbook and say, shit, mate, my kids have been taken, and someone was going to turn around and go, you do this, this, and this, and that was it, and everything would be back to normal. No, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people coming out. There is a mass network of people who have had their kids taken. Some through own faults, some through failing to understand, some through not being given a chance to even change that behaviour, and some just through persecution, and some through a lot of false allegations, a lot of misunderstandings, a lot of incorrect information, and some just because their child was perfect for the adopter that was paying the amount of money that wanted it. And that's as simple as you walk down the street and they go, that one. They go into your school, they'll come around schools. The big investors, don't forget, MPs only earn 60 grand a year. The likes of Epstein are billionaires. They're billionaires. They want your kids, they'll have your kids. Even if it comes to following you, following where you go on the parks, following your day, sending a kidnap crew in. If they want your kids, they'll get your kids. That's how bad it is. But the family court has always been a secret court. Anything resolved with children has always been a secret court. And it's a secret court, one, to protect but one to hide. And that's where I have a problem with it. There is a difference in not sharing information to protect rather than to cover up. That's the same as DV. There are women out there who will lie and cover for partners. One, because children get fucking taken now. Do you know what I mean? It's getting rife. You can't go to the services over these things now. Now, if they went to early years, you would get the support and help. This is the difference. It's whether you're going through child protection. If you're getting put, like I'm working with the early years, it's completely different. There's no child protection. There's nothing like that. It's just that I want to be moved. I'm in a 1-bedroom flat with 2 little babies. You know, we've had all the meetings to pull it all in today. And there's really, really good, genuine people who work for a system. But what this system has taken away is community. Because you can't have community. Per se, health visitor today. Sorry, I've just got to check on my son. I've got a 12-year-old who's at home and he's a latchkey kid today, right? I'm going to be in the children's centre all day on Wednesday. Her 12-year-old boy, being they're not back at school yet, I wouldn't even mind her being able to say, look, you're at work. Let your son know my address. He's welcome to come round here. Do you want me to go and check on him, make sure he's had his dinner? If you got to work late, let me know. You know, a child's been taken, you need to be there, let me know, you know. But you can't do that because that would invade rights. That would be invading, ethics. That would be a conflict of interest. But that takes away community, because what if she was my next door neighbour? You know, and I said to her, look, you know, drop him off here, it's fine, you know, go to work. I know how difficult it is during school holidays to keep working. We don't all vacate, you know, during the school holidays like we used to and have one big celebration and everybody goes back to work on the 3rd of September. It's not like that anymore. But we can't have that level of community. I live in this block, so I can't volunteer at that park. That's how silly it is. That's how much it is. But what you've got to remember is the people who are in it and the people who are working it are just as blind to it as we've all been. It comes from the people who sit in the United Nations meetings and then the people who sit below that, and then it gets funneled and filtered out, and then we have to abide by it. As long as you conform to the ways of the world, you'll never get an issue or problem. As long as you're willing to keep your head down and do as you're told and sit down on your chair when you're told to sit down on your chair, which for somebody like me who's EDS and ASPE, that's very difficult to do. So that gets detentions for someone like me. Prime example. I've even got people from school here. They'll know what a fidget I was at school, how many detentions I would get. There's somebody even here who knows who Gripper is. And if I mention Gripper, she'll probably laugh her fucking head off at the fact that, you know, Gripper used to grab the back of our freaking necks. You know, to somebody like me, we used to duck, you know, because if we didn't have our head down, she grabbed your head and put it down. You know, head down. You go into class, head down. She was really old school. Get your head down. And I don't want to get my head down. As long as you want to live by that, as long as you want to go pay the tax on your car, then pay the insurance on them taxes, then pay the, you know, the council tax on your property, and then pay the tax on all of your deliveries, and then pay the tax on this and tax on that and tax on this. So basically, I've got like 30p in my bank account now, and on Friday I've got to get to pick Dean up from Birmingham, and I'm going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, and I'm going to go and see Baswell myself, who are literally going to be next to the airport, so I might as well. And also I'm preparing for next year in Birmingham, because I'm going to try and get as many people to come along to one of the UPWs. Unfortunately you have to pay for it, but you will be given all of this information in there, but not done in a conspiracy way that goes, whoa, you know, and scaremongers you. It will just break it down very, very, very simple and give you an opportunity, but I'm not here to plug that right now. But if you imagine and you go back to take away the environment you've been in, take away the raising that you've had, if you could imagine the moment you were brought into this world, your parents, you know, settled you down in a nice crib and fed you and nurtured you, and then stuck you in a backpack on your back and hiked their way around the country and the world. If you imagine the education experience that you would have had from that, okay, you might have spent 3 months in this particular place, you might have even stayed 18 months in a private rental somewhere. You know, you might have gone surfing in one sea and mountain climbing in another. Every single child that we've got is literally getting up and going into the education system, meaning that the parents are literally coming straight out of the education system themselves and then holding the fort for their children to then go through the education system, and then waiting until they retire and the children have grown up to go and get, you know, put everything that they've ever saved and sell it up to go and get a villa in Spain, the same villa that they could have gone to for maybe a week or two during their holidays, when actually you could do that whenever you like. Dean is in a cave in Spain right now. He's got absolutely jack shit money. He's doing exactly the same. You know, he's literally over there trying to get his art and music and stuff out that he just can't do here, because you can't do it here. You can't just go on, you have to have a license for everything. Like every time he comes back from somewhere like that, he goes, Kelly, please just come, like, you know, just get out of it. And I keep saying, no. I don't leave until this bomb detonates this stuff. Do you know what I mean? And hopefully, you know, the people here, when I do leave, can actually have a really good start. We need to build a platform for our future generation, because the world that we're currently leaving, and no, it isn't going to go to pots in 2 years. It's going to go to pots. It's still going to be here. Chances are a lot of us might have been flooded out by then. You know, the Mother Earth will clear us out naturally if it comes to it. Do you know what I mean? We are overpopulated, and we're not just overpopulated, we're not even taking responsibility for our own world. I live in a council place where we have no recycling. You know, how is that taking responsibility? I can't even teach my children to recycle. You know, and my phone's going off somewhere. I need to check that actually, because it might be. Where did it go? Oh, cool. Just my son letting me know he's coming around tomorrow. So, what was I going to say? Oh, see, that's how easy and Aspie is distracted. My school reports always used to say I was easily distracted. But my point being with all of this is, when your kids go back to school, there's going to be a lot of new laws coming in and a lot of new things coming around. Every single child is going to be appointed a social worker advocate. Every single child is going to have an opportunity for mental health support, and every single child is going to be offered the opportunity to have counselling. If your child mentions that mummy and daddy argue, your child is not coming home from school that day. If every child is under multi-agency, there are plenty of people who have been pulled in under social on investigations on Section 47s, and they haven't realised what the fuck that they have escaped. Now, we have a gender, what's the word? Let's talk about sex, baby. You know, like, let's make sex out of marriage completely normal. Let's make gay, let's make cross, all that stuff. I've always said, not anti-gay in any way, shape or form. I'm anti their agenda, and I will always be against their agenda. I always not agree with their agenda. And their agenda is to gender neutralize all of our children, to basically say, look, if a child is having an issue, then go and deal with that individually. And yes, you can educate children that people are different. What you don't give is the choice. You don't give that choice. That when they go to school, they're a boy and a girl. It's as simple as that. You don't get them to come into a class and say, hey, do you want to be a boy or do you want to be a girl? It's not about choice. It's about saying some people are going through challenges and they're different, and you don't bully. That's what it should be about. It's about not bullying people because they're different. And it's about giving somebody a safe place to talk about what they want to talk about. But it's not about pushing these belief systems and saying that this is the norm, because it's not. That's my belief system, but it's not. I have a vagina and my boys have penises. Yes, people can cut them off and they can do lots of surgery. And you can have breast implants and you can have liposuction and you can have Botox and you can have uplifts and you can have your bits done and you can have your stomach, you know, shrunk. But they are not the norm, okay? The norm is we are born with one gender or the other. The gender is a man-made thing, but one has this thing that looks like this wiggly thing, and the other one, it goes inside, and they have different roles, and we have different makeup, and we have different, you know, gender roles. Okay, we can challenge the stereotype of these gender roles. Men, you can wash your own plates, you can even iron your own clothes, but ultimately you cannot change that the woman is the carer and the needer, and the man is the provider and the protector. You can't change that. What you do is you're turning women into he she's. You know, you're turning women into men, because women are having to become their own protective factor. So it means they're walking around like John, yeah? Because, oh yeah, come fucking at me, mate. I'm gonna fucking knock you out, yeah? And that's what we've done to the women. Society has done that to women. Society has caused for women to walk around with a penis in their hands because, you know, they're having to protect themselves, yeah? It's very, 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 very difficult for a woman, a girl. I mean, seriously, manhunt when I was a kid was absolutely fucking crazy. People were trying to get your fucking trousers off and tweak your fucking tits and try and get their hands down your fucking pants. Like, seriously, it was mental. And that was, you know, 12, 11, 13-year-olds. And that was just to get a letter off of you. And somebody like me is not very good at giving up their letter. If you tell me I'm not to tell anybody, then you'd have to cut my head off in order to get that information from me. And that makes it very difficult. It means you're kicking a lot of people, you're fighting a lot of people. Fucking hell, Mill Chase, I was getting fucking egged, and people, you know, I can even remember what the woman wrote. What is it? Suck my fanny, suck my tits. You have massive rubber lips. I hope you hate your shitty present, because I hate it too. It's what she wrote all over the fucking toilets. Kelly is this, Kelly is that. You know, boy, it's been different for boys. Boys get into fights, yeah? Girls are not meant to be fighters. We're not the ones that go and grab the deer and wrestle it down to the floor and cut his head off and take it home to the table. That's the man's job. You know, the women are the ones that cut the throat and put it into the pan and cook it. But men like to do this stuff. Men like barbecue, man barbecue. Do you know what I mean? But we've completely masked up that whole masculine, feminine energy. And what that's done is it's changed the whole dynamics of everything. We live under, here in the UK, a Church of England denomination. So Henry VIII could fucking get divorced because he got fucking bored of cutting his wife's heads off. He wanted to actually say, sorry, I don't want to be with you anymore, so can we actually annul our wedding and I can go and marry somebody else, because it's bigamy to marry more than one person. A law again, you know. But again, we've moved it, the goal. Marriage is not valued here in this country. You know, to hear of somebody who's been married for 60 years is like trying to find a fucking rhino in England. You know, we don't have rhinos here. We don't have much marriage here either, and around the world, and especially with different cultures here in the UK as well. You know, we've now moved into a UK that's so diverse. It's got so many different cultures, so many different belief systems, and we have to respect all of these. But the fact is, some of them are doing a lot of damage, and we have to clean this shit up. We have to, as Donald Trump said, drain the fucking swamp here in the UK, you know, because we can't accept a lot of this shit going on. It's 8:30, and I've sworn there are children up at this particular point who could potentially be watching this. The internet has opened it up now, so you can access anything at any particular time. You can go on the black net, dark net if you want to. It's now made it as well. So in this crack book right now, I've probably got people who are waking up at 8 o'clock in the morning, just as it's 8:30 here now, who are thinking, what the fuck is she rambling? Oh, fucking 7 o'clock in the fucking morning, God, you know. And, you know, it might be 3 o'clock in the morning for somebody else who can sit down and chill and kids are in bed. What that's done is that's created a whole mash, but they're doing it because time is the most powerful thing that we have right now. And it's about the only thing that can't be manipulated, because it's done by the moon and the sun. There's nothing that anybody can do to turn around and say that night is day and day is night. You can't fuck people over on that one. It's dark, it's nighttime. It's day, it's light time. Will it ever come a day where we don't see this? Will the apocalypse ever really hit? I don't know. All I know is I want to enjoy my life. I want to make the most of my life. I don't know whether I've got 2 years left. I don't know whether my EDS is going to fuck me over. I don't know whether these cunts are going to section me tomorrow or fucking arrest me when I knock a copper out this week. You know, actually, the police are not being bad with me, actually. It's fucking housing. I want to knock housing. There is a crisis, yeah? And at the end of the day, I can go and buy my land and pay it. But did you know that when we were given our birth certificates, we were all equally entitled to 1 acre of land? That's how it was distributed. It was distributed by 1 acre of land, your rices and your seeds. So basically, okay, take the UK. I'm gonna fuck off in a minute because I've done my hour, but take the UK as a whole, yeah? It's been separated into north, south, divide. It's then like, I'm here in Portsmouth, which is Hampshire. So we've got Hampshire, Surrey, The land was also cut and divided, and it was distributed between the lords and the ladies. Peasants didn't get land, yeah? It was the lords and ladies and all of them. Well, not the ladies, darling. It all went to the husband, you know, and then it stayed within them families. The peasants didn't, yeah? We didn't have top, middle and bottom. We just had lords, ladies and peasants. Now we have the working class. The working class have earned their right to be able to go and buy some land, darling, and, you know, go farm on that land and, you know, build your home on that land. That's fine, but we will decide how big, how tall, and what can happen and what can't. That's what I'm saying. We're being controlled, manipulated. It's the end of it. We're being controlled. We're being manipulated. And we're being forced to conform to the ways of the world, to a systematic Babylon state mind, to get up, to go to work. And if we don't do this, there are consequences, just like there are with mum and dad. You know, mum will say, if you don't pick up your shoes, then, I don't know, you can't smack your kids. I've never smacked. I don't really want to smack. And actually, I crossed the line once, and it was the most horrible, guilty thing I have ever had to do. And, you know, but at the end of the day, you've got to get people to do something in a certain way. So you register your car, yeah? If you don't pay your car for parking tickets, they'll take your car off you. If you don't pay your tax, they'll take your car off you. If you don't pay for your insurance, they'll take your car off you. Fact. If you don't pay for your property, they'll take it off you, okay? If you don't pay the tax, they'll take your kids off of you if you don't have property or land to hold on to. Hence why the majority of people in the benefit system who are not contributing to their tax and their national insurance contribution are all losing your kids, because your kids are worth more money to the people that are going to buy them off you. And they believe that if they take the kids from the poor, that your children are going to have a better opportunity. And as the video from Tony Blair said, is basically get them from the womb. You know, basically don't allow for these people to have kids in the first place, because they're never going to produce good apples. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. The people on benefits and in social housing are the drain of society. I'm sorry to say that, but we are. We are the drain of society. We are the parasites of society. We are the takers. Hence why I do so much to give back, because I'm grateful with the fact that with the condition that I have and the struggles that I have been supported, which is why I like to do so much, because it's my way of contributing and giving back and still being in service. Because if I don't contribute, I die. If I don't grow, I die. I end up with depression, suppression. I feel depressed. If I don't do something that's giving, if I don't pay it forward, by the way, which was on that thing, people who followed me for years, then, you know, they'll know that I was a mass person involved in the Pay It Forward movement. We used to go and do flash mobs on the streets back in, I think it was 2003. You know, we were a big part of the whole Pay It Forward movement. We still do it. I still do it. You know, I can't do it so much now. I'll do if I can, but, you know, I will pay for someone's shopping in front of me if I feel that the Lord is telling me to do so, or, you know, give somebody a lift, pay, and you don't ask people to give it back. You just ask them to pay it forward. So yeah, I've gone over my hour tonight. I've deliberately done it earlier tonight because the boys have gone to bed. I have been rattled. I've managed to calm down today because I've been absolutely livid that I'm going to be forced to go back in the system, back doing all my diagnosis, back having to talk about my problems again. I don't want to talk about my problems. I know my problems. I understand my challenges with my condition. I'm sick and tired of explaining it to other people. I know it's a real condition. I know what I deal with. I know what, you know, has gone down and goes on with my body. I know where my challenges are. You know, but unfortunately, if you can't pay your own way in this society right now, then you have to beg, borrow, and steal. And I'm not a thief, and I never will be a thief. And you know, borrowing is really crap because I fucking hate borrowing shit. I hate catalogs. Catalogs are one of the worst things anybody could ever get. Why do you want to pay for something for a long time? I want to use it now and then hand it over. It's as simple as that. So I've really got to work hard this week. I'm so glad I've got this room this week because I have got a whole unit in there and in there full of paperwork. It is chaos. It is, I mean, it's even like this. I mean, look, if someone said to me, Kelly, can you please find your so-and-so diagnosis? I would have to go, what? Where? Kelly, can you please get that form in for you? What? Seriously, where? And in order for me to get this out, like now, the boys are asleep, that's fine. And you've seen me, and I put it all in lines and stuff like that, but ultimately I've then got nowhere to put it. So I've got to get this properly into order now with, oh, what have we got in here? We got an ICPC complaint. Oh, seriously, I've got so much fucking evidence on this, it's unbelievable. Oh, look. I'll write this. This is what the fuckers stole off me as well. But they don't use it. They don't want people to think this way. Look at that bit down there. Matching staff, yeah, to those using the services. About matching the right people. Yeah, we shouldn't just be given who we get. It's about matching you with the right family. But they don't have enough. You know, there's not enough people. So, but yeah, I've worked. And actually, a good thing to Neil. Neil's dead now, unfortunately. But yeah, this is what it was all about. Circles of support, personalisation. You know, it was all. So have a look. It was in Preston. That's where my certificate comes from. Circles of support. I've probably got. Oh, does anyone know what's going on with this, by the way? Yeah, the independent inquiry into child sexual abuse. I've still got my lawyer stuff here. I need to have a check. I might actually give them a call, actually, because these would be the perfect people to take on for the independent inquiry into children's social care as a whole. So I shall keep that up. That's what I'm saying. I need all of this, so literally, because my head is so fragmented. I'm carrying everything from my own personal life that I'm trying to deal with now. And I've literally got to go and get Dean, so I've got to try and make some money this week. Well, it's not even try. I have to do. And it's the guy who confuses me over bloody be a vegetarian or eat meat, by the way, because he's vegetarian. Bless. People think I don't know these people personally. I'm so gradual. Maybe I just don't see boundaries in people. Ah. Here we go. Now, before I go, this is what we've got to rewrite. So basically, when we come out of the EU, we won't have this. So when we, the British people, have basically got to rewrite, as from now up until October, the British Declaration of Human and Spiritual Rights. Oh, seriously, I've got to sort of order it. I've got to get it all in order. It's as simple as that. And we've got to write them. And you do need your birth certificate, because without this and without ID, if I was walking down the streets now, how do we know each other? How do we know who each other is? How do we borrow something off someone, say, can I live in your home for a bit? Well, yeah, of course you can. Who are you? We need to have some form of protection. And also, I've still got faith in Aaron's. Even got my kids' numbers. I ain't fucking stupid, mate. So that's mine, Aaron and Faith's medical cards. So here's the other thing when we come out of the EU. If I go to Spain now, I could have double insurance because we're not going to be protected. So these are the things that people aren't looking at, yeah? And we have to put these things into place to have travel between each other's countries, to be able to cross borders. You know, we shouldn't have these borders, but if we just understood these things as an obligation, if we just, oh shit, I've got so much paperwork here. You know, if we could actually just sit down and go, look, you know, let's put the great back in Britain. You know, let's actually sit down as individuals. Let's not fight each other, the system, because your police officer is my sister's a police officer, yeah? So why should people be going and kicking Mikey's sister's head in? You step to my sister, I'll kill you. Simple as that, yeah? I grew up with a lot of fucking bullying, mate, so I certainly don't take kindness to it. I see anybody, yeah, out on that campaign track face to face with my sister, I will be stood in front of my sister, whether she's in a police uniform or not. She's my sister, yeah? Simple as that. She's my sister. You know, and it's the same as my other sister who's gone into politics, yeah? Anybody steps to my sister and causes my sister aggro because she is going to become a politician, then yeah, she's my sister and you'd have to go through me first. It's not about what uniform they wear, yeah? Now, if my sister was covering the paedophile difference, that would be different. I'd be pushing her forward and sticking her in a fucking nut house and getting to the bottom of it. But no, none of us. There has been my granddad. My granddad abused my auntie. And obviously I was abused by my Uncle Neil. So here we go. Before I go, seriously, I'll keep finding things. I said I would stop. This is the 9th of July 2015. So I didn't make it in 16, but I'm still there and I'm still writing, so I'm going back in. So this is from the Houses of Commons, the Public Bill Committee for the Education and Adoption Bill. Note, all you kids are going back to school tomorrow, but it's called the Education and Adoption Bill. Yeah. So when I went in, I said, I will stop when it's called, and I think there needs to be a facet in front of it, but it needs to be the people, family. Well, it needs to be family, education and services. What's all this adoption with education? They haven't even got fostering in between it. And no, it's not a different word for adoption. It is talking about adoption. It's saying that you have children in education, but we've also got children who are adopted. Yeah? And they give all that the priority. Net. Family first. So this is what I'm going to be coming back into. But unfortunately, unless you sit and you go through all this sort of paperwork, which for a dyslexic bum ass like me is fucking annoying, it does my nut in. But that should be in an individual file, and I should have a nice little office so I can go A, B, C, D. So when I say, right, this is the area, like, bless Amber, like my timeline now needs to all be on this stuff, schools in and all of this stuff, because it's about promotion. It's, here we go, last thing, found it. The roadmap to 2015, achieving disability equality by 2015. And this states already, I said enabled, but this states already that people with physical conditions, learning mental health and mental health have a right to a family life. To be able to be enabled and supported, that you can't actually condemn and criticise. So basically, don't forget people with physical conditions. In fact, someone from schools here, and she'll remember, they used to call it the spastic bus that used to go by. And where I was brought up in Headley and Borden, it was Hilary Burton that built, and my dad was one of the builders for it, that introduced people with learning difficulties into the community. So they weren't living in institutions and mental health units. They were actually introduced to the community. but it hasn't gone any further than that. You know, people are going, oh, to a dance country who've been married for 22 years. You know, come on, you get with the times. So this basically, seriously, it'll all be in my book if you really want to know. So this was looking at all things. So children themselves. So 370 million to support short breaks for families with disabled children and continue investing in children and education. That didn't say put them in foster care. That said to support the family. You know, the Disability Discrimination Act of 2005 and the ratification of the EU conventions in 2009 promotes civil rights for disabled people. You know, equal bill streamlines for strengthening discrimination, isolation, making Britain a stronger, fairer place, hate crime action plans, you know, all this, it's all negative. I kept saying it's all negative, but, you know, employment, health, housing, independent living, justice system, you know, there you go. Implementation of the recommendation of Lord Bradley report to deliver offenders of mental health problems and learning difficulties away from prison and into other appropriate services. But this isn't happening now, is it? You know, leisure, living standards, the Children's Poverty Bill to ensure the eradication of child poverty. If the child's not eating, it means the parents aren't eating. So why have we got this divide between parents, adult and children all the time? We're responsible for our kids. We are responsible for our kids. The birth certificate has given them the rights to our children. But at the end of the day, we can't rely on Boris Johnson to wave his magic wand and make our lives great. The only person who can make our lives great is us. If we don't want to be in the situation that we are, as I said back in 2010, go stand in a mirror, take off all of your layers of mask, look in that mirror and say, am I happy with where I am right now? I'm not. I'm in a one-bedroom flat. I don't have a bedroom. I can't go and lay down in my bedroom right now. I can't go to my wardrobe and go and get my dressing gown and all my bits. I have no idea where my fucking socks and underwear are. They're over there in a pile somewhere. I've got my living room, my kitchen like a Chinese laundry right now because they've turned the heating off and I can't dry it on the radiators. And right now I can't even buy fucking tumble dry tokens to go downstairs and dry tokens. This life for me is bullshit. Absolute fucking bullshit. And they're going to cut me even further next month. And I'm not willing to argue about it. All I want is my right to hand over my fucking key, like I told them today, get in my car and go and do whatever I want and build the life that I want, not the one that they're forcing me to have. I will not be forced into a wheelchair. I will not be forced onto medication. I will not be forced to put my children into the education system. My children are already not immunised and we will not be forced into doing all of this. And I will not be forced to conform to the ways of the world. When you stand in court, even though they are trying to remove it, when you stand in court, you swear on a Bible. The Bible says, do not conform to the ways of the world, but by the renewal of your mind. Yet we're being conformed to do the opposite. By the same Romans who slated Jesus in the first place, we are still under that empire. And that's what I'm telling you. We are slaves. We are slaves for the Queen. A queen who's trying her best to give back. And she has some great kids. Well, Princess Diana raised some great kids to not think to the lizard brain that these people have, which is the amygdala, which is cold. Princess Diana influenced, you know, two boys that she brought into the world very differently from the aristocrats. You know, taught them to not judge the people who are the peasants and actually see outside their gate and realize that people were actually normal human beings. Hence why they've chosen to put their children into, you know, their local school rather than, you know, into Eton and things, which probably will do at some point when they realise that it shouldn't even be that world. But even the royals are not able to live to the ways that they need to live. If I want to get on that aeroplane and go to Spain, spend 3 months there, then go to Italy for 4 months, and then fuck off to Russia for 6 months, I'm free to do so. We're allowed to do this. We are allowed to live this way. You just got to have your paperwork in order. So please, 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 as I said earlier on, if you're being influenced by XR or any of the common law movements to get rid of your birth certificate and get rid of your passport, I suggest you don't, because come October when we exit, because there's going to be a massive big immigrant clear out, yes, and I'm telling you this as your friend, yes, there is going to be a mass push on immigration. If you don't have your documents, you're going to be upside the head and off with immigration. So I suggest you keep your home in order. I suggest you keep your paperwork in order. During this period of time, you know, get things in order, get your freedom of request, get your paperwork sorted. We're in the biggest time of transition ever here in the UK, and I do see a bright future for us. I really do. I do see a lovely, beautiful, bright future, but it is going to take for the, what's the word? The breakdown of society is here already. It is going to get anarchic. It is going to get violent. People are going to be stealing. There is going to be a higher rate of crime. The police are going to have to come out. There is going to be more protests. And it is going to end up where Queenie, who's got the ball, decides that it's probably good that the royals take a very big long holiday and maybe vacate Britain. But they're abandoning Britain because Britain is going to be turned into a prison and it's going to be a dumping ground. So if we, the people, give the power away to government, and you are giving it's a choice to give your power away to government. If you're giving them all of your decisions and all of your choices, if you're putting all of your hands into them, or even worse, putting your head in the sand and ignoring it and not getting involved and going, I don't talk about politics and religion, I don't get involved, well then all of a sudden you're going to find yourself being upside the head, a chip in your fucking hands, and all of a sudden you're not going to know what the fuck's hit you when you're being, you know, forced into a life that you don't want. You're going to have no freedom of choice. You know, freedom of choice is an illusion anyway. But if you step out of that ramification, you know, I'm not quite sure what's coming. So I'm hoping there's enough of us to change it. You know, it only takes 1 degree shift for a boat to change complete different directions. So we just need 1 degree in a different direction, 1 degree further to love than hate, you know, 1 degree in compassion, you know, 1 degree to believe rather than doubt, 1 degree to create rather than destroy, you know, 1 degree to be the change, you know, to be the solution. Just 1 degree in that direction would take a whole different direction. You know, Boris Johnson needs to lead his people, and he can't do that. You know, we need a real true leader who can get out on the ground, go and speak to everybody, you know, literally, like Donald Trump did. Go and literally, it's not that difficult to do here in the UK. You know, get people absolutely motivated, get people really thinking about who they are and what they want to do. Because could you imagine the UK here if everybody was healthy and thriving? If everybody had the tools to deal with the breakdowns of their relationships, that we could resolve marriages, and it doesn't matter if all of a sudden she's going nag, he's gone shut the fuck up, and all of a sudden she's pushed him and he's gone bang, you know, and they're having to sit down and counsel and go, whoa, what the fuck just happened? You know, rather than removing these couples from each other, relate and counselling should be supporting them. Actually, they should be able to sit down with everybody that was at their wedding, pull them all together. You want to get divorced? Go to everybody that was at your wedding, pull them all together and say, look, we can't hack it as a couple. You all stood with us on the day that we got married, so we're asking you for your help. You know, we did that rather than going to the families court. And don't get social services in your life in the first place. There's nothing that you need from these people. There's nothing that they can give you. There really isn't. They are not a service provider. There is no service that they can provide for you, that early starts can't do, that a church organisation can't do, that your health visitor can't do if you want it. I don't want to bring a baby into the world by myself. I like having doctors and lawyers and solicitors and other people that can do things that I can't, accountants, all that stuff. But that's because we're in a capitalist society. But I tell you what, if I'm in a car crash, I'm glad that we got paramedics that come and get me out of that car. I'm glad that I can go into that kitchen, turn my tap on, and somebody else is actually funneling that water to my tap. And I'm quite happy to pay for that. I'm quite happy to pay and contribute to my local community to support, local projects and things like that, and the local police. Because if somebody breaks into my home right now and smashes my face in, I would like to think that I can go to a service that is going to take as much detail from me as possible and go out there and do something about it. We need these services, but we need it within a community. We need it with less red tape, with less taking time, bullshit. Because if a mother slips her discs and ends up in A&E, then you need a community to come together to look after those children. But in a world right now where we have no idea who's doing what, we can't psychological assess everybody. We have to come with basic trust. And the only way we build trust between each other is to build relationships between us. And the only way to build relationships is to get to know each other. The system can't do that. So we, the community, have got to do that. We, the community, have got to find out whether somebody is really struggling, and maybe it just might be that one thing that actually in the morning, mum might run out of milk. Not that I'm advocating for milk, and it might just be that actually while you drop your kids off at school, there's a single woman struggling with a disability and might even appreciate you coming in after school, having a quick coffee with her, having a quick chat, and getting her up and about. There's different ways that we can enable people. Sometimes it is just literally a smile. Elijah walks down the road saying hello to everybody. I see people going from to hey, and that's what we got to do. We've got to take people into their joy, into their natural flow. And the quicker people get into their joy, the quicker people receive their vision. Those without vision shall perish. And I wish you all a vision. I wait, when you go to bed tonight, I pray and pray and pray that you receive a very lovely vision of your future and of the goals and dreams and aspirations so you can work towards them. But just remember that they're yours and nobody can take that away from you. No government, no neighbours, no mums, no dads. They're your goals and they're for you to get on with your lives and actually get on and with your choices. So we need to come together, and rather than push and pull and fight and war, we just need to come together and say, look, we're all people, we're all struggling, we're all trying to put a roof over our heads, we're all trying to just be a family, we're all trying to make sure we can have a nice Sunday dinner with our families, and we're all trying to make sure that, we can have a social life and enjoy ourselves. And, we all want to make sure that we're dressed and wearing the things that we want, and we've got the tools that we need. I need a camera, simple as that. It's going to cost me 600 quid for the kit that I want, probably even more than that. Yes, I can find things on Gumtree, but it hasn't been serving me very well with dodgy laptops and dodgy computers. And I really want to get on with creating some of these things that I want to create. I want my land. I want to build a healing centre that's self-sustainable village, and there's loads. So yeah, so to everybody out there, it's time to build sustainable villages. It's time to build some real good communities and also some bases where people can travel and move and, come into different countries and stay within these cultures and things, so we can have our world within their world. But yeah, tomorrow the MPs are back. Go ring them, go knock on their door, go tell them, come, want to talk to you. Yeah, you're our MP, come talk to us. And hopefully XR will push things into an assembly and we'll end up with everybody gathering at their town halls to sort of say, what do we need to, does this? And if we're working together and we're doing this together, if you build a child park, they're likely to vandalise it. But if the children build the park with you, they're likely to appreciate it. So that's what we need. We need to appreciate our country again. We need to appreciate the people in it again. It's become an absolute hell of heroin and crack and drugs and alcohol that the only people that have got the choice to live clean living is us. And we don't need that shit, because the only reason we need that shit is because it dumps and suppresses the reality that we're not living the life to our true full selves. And that creates anger. So it's easy to smoke a joint. It's easy to have a drink. It's easy to go out on a Friday night and get pissed. So you feel like you've done something before you go back to work on Monday or Saturday or whatever. But that's not life. That's not living. That's not true living. How many people have even got time for their kids anymore? And I mean, really have time for their kids. Like really, like sitting down and have conversations with them. You might get a couple of hours, but no child deserves to come straight out of the womb and 1, be taken, but 2, to be in an education system by the age of 2. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. Also, we can go to work to pay bills. So we can make people like the BBC, where Jimmy Savile was, with your TV license. So your TV license has basically paid for children to be raped. That's what your TV license has done. Your TV license has funded a paedophile circle. Your council tax is funding a war. Your tax is funding for the Britain to invade. And you are basically the people going to work to keep them in their nice big houses. Could you imagine if they had to go to work themselves? Jesus. So stop working for the Queen Bee, therefore she has no power. Stop serving these people, therefore they have no power. And take your own power back. Take your whole mind and soul. Get your own shit in order. If, like me, you got paperwork like fucking shit, do what I've done. Go and book a room out. Take all your paperwork in it. And anything that we don't need, see you down at the beach for a burning. So literally, on Wednesday, after my paperwork thing on Wednesday, I'm going to be going to the fireside and actually burning everything that I don't need. I wish I could burn it all. And hopefully there is going to be a Wednesday fireside where I'm going to take all of my paperwork and fucking burn it. I wish I could just have it all online at the moment and on dipsticks and stuff. But I've got little things, notes I've written, piece of paper, telephone numbers, my diaries. I've got all my diaries through 2010 and everything. Because at the end of the day, I was just a mum with an idea and didn't know how to do it. And I went and found the people who had already done it. And I shared a lot of ideas and made a lot of people very rich. He also was uncovering a lot of stuff, which other people had already done. I think I'll just take it a little bit further, because when you gag somebody like me, we're going to keep going. So anyway, I've been on there for ages. I haven't even had a chance to read any comments or see who is here. So if you're getting something from this, then brilliant. If you're learning something great, it's helping me. It helps me get out of my head. I rang Dean earlier on because I wanted to offload to him. But, you know, the man's on tour, struggling enough as it is. And he hears this every day. He's been awake long before all of us. So this is just old school from the new school for him. This is just him saying, told you so. You know, he's been trying to warn people for a long time. So, yeah. So back to school tomorrow for a lot of people. Ask yourself, what is your child learning? If you don't know, start getting more involved in the school. Start attending more at school. How many teachers at the school do you know? How many parents do you know that actually come in? You know, are you aware of who is actually spending time with your child and influencing your child? Have you actually ever thought about how much the education system and his peers are influencing your children and the internet? And I think it's time that we actually sat back and went, nah, this isn't influencing my children anymore. I'm not having this shit influencing my children. When I had the 11-year-old girls, they were showing me some of the YouTube videos they're allowed to watch. What? Seriously? It's dumbing our kids down. Dumbing them down. These are not children that are ever going to achieve anything or ever be anything. These are just children that are just going to end up in the benefit system, in council house, or in a dead-end job doing something they fucking hate every day. And, you know, I don't want that for my kids. I want my kids to be focused, doing what they love, advancing. If my son wants to be a skateboarder, then he can be a skateboarder. I'm sure he can have his own brand of Shiloh skates, you know, and we'll sell them, and he can just be a skateboarder. He doesn't have to be anything else. Nobody else. If he tells me he wants to be a skateboarder, I'm not going to be telling him, oh, that's not a serious enough job career. You can't be a skateboarder. Yeah, he can. He can charge £25 an hour for skateboarding lessons if he likes. That's a job. There you go. There's your income, Elijah. Shiloh, you want to go skateboarding? Skateboard. So any skateboarders out there? There you go. 25 quid for, I don't know, tenner. 60 quid for 6 sessions. Who knows? Of learning how to use a skateboard. Learn to master one particular trick. You know, there may be something that he can do that somebody else can't. You know, or exchange it. You know, You know, there are other ways. So anyway, I'm rambling now. I'm not doing my paperwork. I'm going to literally, look at you all liking that I'm rambling. I'm going to stick this you're the one bloody watching. I'm going to stick this paperwork all away. I will not be dealing with it until literally 11:30. I've got to go over to the food bank tomorrow and go and do all my debt management with them, so I can now be allocation to food bank. Got a lot of sales stuff to try to get up. Tonight, it's that fucking shitty pile. So I'm about to put on all the Epstein stuff and catch up with all the Epstein stuff. So if you don't know who Epstein is, please go and Google Epstein and you'll get, we're not grandeur, we weren't lying. This shit is really going down and it's up to us to clean it, because our children are, I reckon a lot of them are going into hiding at the moment, but they're never going to allow this out. And we need to know who's influencing our kids, what are they teaching them. And when they go back to school in September, we, the parents, whether you agree with me or not, at least need to go in and find out exactly what your children are being taught about transgender and gender neutralization, because it's all coming into school this year, like massively. I was actually at the sex education bill in Parliament and everybody was coming out uproaring. They even actually licensed it literally 3 weeks ago that paedophilia is considered normal. So that's the society that we live in right now. That's the society that you're taking your kids into school right now. That is the influence that's going to be around your children. And that means that we're going to have a lot of pregnant 13-year-olds. We're going to have mass problem with teenage pregnancy. Mass problem. And where do you think these children are going to be going? So before I go, because I want the copyrights to this, I'm just going to put this on in the background because I want the copyrights and they'll flag me up on my video in a minute. And I just want to say to everybody this week, please, 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 I want the copyright for it on my video. And also, this is mine and Dean's song. And he's home on Friday, so fuck knows what's going to happen from now. I might find him in France next week, I don't know. So anyway, guys, I'm going to catch up with you later and check up on your comments. And I might be ranting in a minute when I talk about the Epstein stuff, but I haven't been as raw as I was going to be because I managed to calm down and sort of kids out and settle kids. I was fucking fuming when I was coming through the door. But I think just the reality of saying that the Queen, yeah, they took this country by default, and we need to reset and put our country back into the structures that it really should be, because, you know, Queenie's not got the ball anymore, and the ball's in our court, and it's up to us to decide what happens tomorrow and therefore on. And we need to get on that phone, send your emails to your MP and make them go into Parliament and tell them what you really wanted to say. And if not, then literally we're going all the way through, right the way through to November the 5th, where the masks are coming off and the gates are coming off. And I'm sure Boris Johnson is going to bring the hoses, so bring your bikinis, because I think it's going to be one mass big water party with ships and big hoses. October's going to be big, things are moving, people are still doing stuff. But please, 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 even if you take freedom of the land, even if you take your sovereign back, do not get rid of your passports, your identification. In fact, get them. Get your passport as quick as you can. Make sure you have your ID on you. Seriously, I promise you, do not follow people that are telling you to get rid of these documents right now. Because when they reset the computers, you're going to have no proof of who you are or what you're about. And if what's going to happen to the immigrants without ID, then I don't know what's going to happen to the British that haven't got their ID. So get your own homes in order. Let's get ourselves in order, and let's take our power back, and let's take our country back, and let's go and experience the world non-judgmental, no race, no hate, no racism. And it isn't about, you know, bud ding ding, everybody sing, let's do the patty rap. It's about the fact that they're keeping our corner shops going right now. They might be ripping us off, but they're human too. We have no right to alienate and abuse anybody. When you point one finger at me, yeah, point three back at yourself. And on that note, I'll see you later.